What could be better than being an unstoppable, undying creature of the night? Oh, right, being in charge. Hello, I'm Matt Stormcrow, and this is the Absolute Bastard's Guide to Being the Prince in Vampire the Masquerade. This guide is meant to give storytellers a baseline for how princes come to power and what they have to do to get there, and give players some idea of what they might have to do in order to grab that big brass ring that is Praxis. Matt, what's Praxis? Well, Praxis is a term in Vampire the Masquerade for the power and position of the prince. Praxis seizures can be peaceful, but they're usually bloody affairs given the mafia-like nature of the Camarilla. So let's start out with, how do you become prince? Now to start with, if you're a player trying to become prince, it is not something taken lightly. If you are not an elder, you're in for an uphill battle and making a lot of deals. That's because the majority of princes with the prestige and power to seize Praxis are elders, or at least Ancilla. There are neonate princes though they tend to crash and burn rather quickly or quickly become pawns of greater powers. But as the beckoning has thinned out the number of elders and even older ancilla that occupy the cities of the world, neonates and younger ancilla become more common. So no matter your generation or blood potency, you can definitely make a play for prince. Though your odds go up if you know what to do. Not that I like anybody's odds in seizing Praxis, it is one of the most dangerous games that a vampire can play, outside of juggling chainsaws in traffic at noon. That leaves the question of, how do you become prince? Well, the most important thing to remember from the get-go is that the Camarilla is not a democracy. It is ruled by the elders and the powerful, and those are the people that you need on your side. You don't need the popular will, that would make you an anarch. What you need is the support of the powerful. Ultimately, whoever can stand before the elders and the primogen and the most powerful kindred of the city and say, I am prince, and be respected as prince, is prince. This is sometimes a little bit hard for people to accept, both in and out of character, having been born into modern Western democracies. But the fact of the matter is, you're dealing with something that's more like the mafia than the US government. And here's a secret. The Camarilla is a secret society combined with a criminal organization operating beneath the surface of our culture. It's not exactly predisposed to advanced political philosophy. So to become prince, you have to find the most powerful kindred of the city, secure their loyalty and their willingness to follow you by making whatever deals you need to make, and then hope for the best. And oh, by the way, if there currently is a prince, they have ostensibly already done this with the most powerful kindred of the city. And you have to convince them to instead follow you. Are you beginning to see why I don't like your odds? So the first step in undermining the current prince is to find out who the most ardent supporters of the current prince are, and then making sure they're not so ardent anymore. The least ardent people on the planet are dead people, but usually you can play politics and make deals if the prince has isolated themselves somehow. You see, this is the reason why princes, despite the fact the traditions ostensibly give them absolute power over every vampire in the city, are very, very careful about who they piss off, because they have to maintain these webs of loyalty and servitude in order for these things to work and for them to remain prince. If they alienate their supporters, if they alienate the wrong people, that leaves an opening for ambitious young upstarts like yourself to start abusing. So if you want to seize Praxis, look for a prince who's pissed people off and has done things that aren't popular with the higher ups. But even if the prince is less than popular and you're trying to undermine them, be prepared to make deal after deal after promise after promise. You have to give more than the old guy in order to get the loyalty of these people. This is often why the elders and the more influential kindred in the city get away with more than they should, despite the prince having this power and the mandate to enforce the traditions, because he needs their support. He can't alienate them and keep his position. It's also why the elders tend to just become more powerful, because the new prince has to offer more than the last prince did in order to gain their support. It's one big self-licking ice cream cone. But yeah, look for princes have done unpopular things or have been forced into positions where they had to piss off one person in order to save the other. Smell that blood in the water, young sharks, and start feeding. Of course, there's also the fact that it's impossible to support a dead prince, so you could just off him. But just because you kill Billy the Kid doesn't make you Billy the Kid. So remember to have your ducks in a row and all your loyalties lined up before you do that. Oh, and if someone suggests you kill the prince in order to seize Praxis before you've done that, they're probably looking to seize that power themselves from underneath you. Of course, while you're securing these loyalties and making these deals, you can't tip off the prince that you're doing so, because the prince has the power and the means to kill you. And you understand why I don't like your odds here. But hey, I never promised you succeed. I promised it was possible. Sometimes, under certain circumstances, if you're smart about it. So let's say you have all your ducks in the row, you have all the support you need, you've talked with everyone. Now you have to declare Praxis in a place where the people that you need to immediately pledge their loyalty and support can do so immediately. Often this is done in Elysium. It is done before as many influential kindred as possible, or it's done at a Primogen Council meeting, some place where the truly powerful amongst the Camarilla have gathered. And by the way, this is the moment where if you were set up, you're gonna find out, because people might not declare their loyalty. Some people might try to seize Praxis out from under you. It's gonna be a mess if people were lying to you. And if that happens, you won't have to deal with the social consequences for long, because frankly, you won't be around for many more nights if you stay in that city. But let's assume you do it. You manage to thread this needle. You manage to declare Praxis. You manage to oust the current prince in one way or the other. You manage to get the loyalty of the elders in the Primogen. Then the fun really starts, because now you have a job to do, you have deals to make, and you have a court to form. Your on-paper job, according to the Camarilla, is to enforce the traditions in your domain, the city. That is your job as prince. That is your whole job description. Enforce the traditions. How much you want to bet me it actually stops there? Because not only do you have to form your court, the officials of your vampire government, you have to follow through on all those deals you made in order to get Praxis in the first place, and God help you if you can't. You have to fill out the positions of your court. And how much you want to guess a lot of those deals you made had to do with who gets what in what position. So yes, your seneschal, your right hand, the one you're supposed to trust in order to stand for you when you're not present, might be someone that you don't trust further than you can throw them. Not only that, but you have to divvy up domains. You have to, pay out everything that you needed to pay out to become prince in the first place. But here's the most important part of this entire discussion. At no point in this entire process does A, anyone ask the populace what they want, and B, does anyone ask if you're good at the job. I mean, some of the more self-interested elders that you're asking to support you will want you to be baseline competent, but this system does not necessarily pick the best person to actually be prince. It picks the best person at gaining power. Because that's what your real job as prince is. To hold power and to distribute power and to enforce the power of the elders through the traditions. See the Absolute Bastard's Guide to the Traditions for more information on how they do this. And here's the ironic part. The Praxis, the throne of the prince, is ultimately a gilded cage. You will be bound to the same political dealings, the same straitjackets of elder influence and petty power games as your predecessor was. Congratulations, you're the most important vampire in the city, and you have even less control of your fate than you did before. Welcome to the world of darkness, where even power is not a way out. I hope this helped you understand the process of becoming a prince and seizing Praxis, and what it takes to keep Praxis and not lose it. If you like this kind of content, please like, follow, subscribe, and happy gaming.